this was the summertime.
You're like school in summertime.
School in summertime?
Yep, school in summertime.
This is Bowling Princess, Lady of the Flies. Is somebody gonna get crushed with a rock? Because that would be metal as fuck to happen in my Neckbeard story. Fingers crossed, I guess. Hi, Kitty Rompus. She says, hello! Okay, so after months of listening to several Reddit YouTube channels, i.e. ReddX, r/ and Ask Reddit channels, did I like that I got listed first in there? Fucking sick! I believe that I have myself encountered a few of the neck and leg beard variety, so here it goes, BP, that's Bowling Princess. And this is a nickname that she gave herself, lol. And I felt like it was, already leg beardy enough. She is a 350-pound, 5'3", 15-year-old girl with the odor of hot, cheesy mold, if there even is such a thing. Oh yeah, for mold to really get going, it's got to be like, damp. The particulate is just floating on clouds of water vapor up into your nose, and pretty soon you'll be a cheese brain just like her. 350 pounds is fucking nuts. That's like Moby Vic levels of bigness. There's Kitty, our OP, 15-year-old mixed girl of the curvy variety, big bust, and a shelf in the back. This is relevant later. Sorry. I mean, you didn't go on about it. It's fine. Cam is a female friend of mine who shared in the misery. Haha. 15 at the time. Chubby, but very charismatic. Saucy personality with a glint of southern charm. Oh, I get to use my southern lady voice today. That's nice. Gavin is a quiet, laid-back, 16-year-old boy who quickly fell into a long-term relationship with Cam. Yep, that's his whole personality. He dates that girl. Monique, my roommate in our camp dorms. Very sassy black girl from NYC, but with a heart of gold. Always dating a fine young brother, too. And how did you know she was from NYC? Because she told you. She had to tell it first thing out of her mouth. People from California are insufferable, too, myself included. But we can't compete with the NYC. There's also Haley, another camper, 14 years old, sweet girl with a great voice and a tragic home life, the combo of which seemed to act as neckbeard bait. Yeah, goddamn, hurt people or something like that. Actually, I don't think that applies at all in this situation. But it came out of my mouth, so it's in the video now. Sequestered in a summer camp in the mountains of Vermont, myself and the other players in this saga were subject to the gross out antics, shock value performances, and general disruption of Bowling Princess. And this lasted for 4 long, taxing weeks. I mean, you can't Uber out of the mountains of Vermont? Come on now. Somebody's gotta come out here and risk it for the biscuit, please! My first encounter with Bowling Princess was during a horse riding introductory lesson. During the camp, we participated in up to 3 extracurricular activities, including spending time with horses. Myself, Cam, our other friend Kayla, and of course Bowling Princess were in the first week's class together. Can Bowling Princess get on a horse? I guess 350. It's gotta be a big horse, though. You don't bring me, like, Arabians for Bowling Princess, okay? It's quarter horse or bust. Ideally, you'd get some of those, like, really, really giant horses that pull around, like, the Budweiser beer thing. You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember what they're called. Who cares? I'm getting off in the weeds. Horses, yes, great! Please don't, Bowling Princess. You can't. Horse is gonna have a sway back forever. Anyway, 5 minutes into the bus ride from the campus to the barn at which our class was located, I was already pretty sure that Bowling Princess was going to be that kid. After we all sat down, me next to Cam and Bowling Princess right behind our bus driver, we immediately started chatting excitedly to one another, speculating about how much fun we'd have hanging out with the horses for 2 whole hours. They're fucking amazing animals, I'll say that. But without warning, the loudest, juiciest, most bass-filled fart sound I've ever heard in my entire life cut through the noise and prattle of us campers to rise above the din. I love that. It probably shook the ground. And everybody was sitting down too? Did you feel the vibrations from my ass? I wield a great power, I want you to know that. The fart seemed to actually make the bus rattle and vibrate. I swear I could feel it in my own seat. Oh yeah, that is power. We stared open-mouthed at one another in shock, silence, and then a raucous Beavis and Butthead-esque laugh emerged from the cheap plastic seat across from me. I turned to my right to see a large, round girl with a tangled straw mess of blonde hair plopped on her head, guffawing loudly and deeply. Between her labored breathing and heaving laughter, we could all make out the words, I farted! Certainly did. Cam beside me gasped out, oh, what the fuck? And the next moment, a rotten egg-like stench slammed its way through my nostrils. That's good stuff right there. Do you remember what I said about the particulate? You're gonna want to pee in a sock and put it over your mouth or something like that. OP says, that stench rung my senses like a damn bell. That's power. That's power on another level. I couldn't hope to experience this. It's either got good vibrato or good stench, but, never both at the same time. That is extremely hard to achieve. Anyway, OP says I am extremely smell sensitive, so yeah, this was a nightmare come to life. Death itself, encapsulated in gaseous form. And you're still, stuck in the tin can of a bus. You gotta breathe in the fumes. I practically vaulted over Cam and desperately clawed at the stiff latches on our bus window. After a few painful seconds, I released the latch and shot my head out the open window, breathing in the fresh summer country air. Yeah, and then the bus driver yells at you, get your head back in the window! It's a safety violation! Probably the bus driver gets it. He's got his own little private window, but he can't really stick his head out of there. He's probably used to it. He's like, I could one-up her right now. I could unleash Sarbamba, but I'm not going to because I don't want to... it's my job to transport the children alive. Anyway, naturally, Bowling Princess was belting out what quite nearly seemed like fake laughter at this point, while the excited chattering of just a few minutes prior had morphed into mortified whispers about the absolutely disgusting and immature display that we had all witnessed. I mean, you guys have to appreciate it at least a little bit. You know what I mean? It's raw power. If she could learn to, truly go Zen mode and harness her power, she could be one of the greatest stinky fighters of all time. Anyway, at the end of the 15-minute ride, we were once again excitedly dreaming about riding our own beautiful horse across a sunset plain and whatnot. The bus pulled up to a sweet-looking barn and stable, and as campers eagerly filed out, two kind-looking women came outside and introduced themselves as our instructors. They then led us to the indoor horse and pointed us to some lined-up blue rain barrels tucked up against the wall. I'm not sure what an indoor horse is. Don't let that horse inside. The barrels had been tipped up on their sides and thus made perfect seats for the 10 campers in our group. Bowling Princess bounded up onto the rightmost rain barrel, causing it to bow and bend beneath her. Seeing this, the rest of us scrunched up onto the remaining 3 barrels. I again happened to be seated close to Bowling Princess. You must have had last pick or something like that. You better hope next time she farts it doesn't just blow your legs off completely, you know? Like a fecal landmine from 2 seats away. Bam! At first everything was great. I was learning and there were horses and I was young. Lol. Life was good. I mean, life still is pretty good if you take a look around, sniff the roses, you know? You gotta be grateful. Sure, there's like bullshit piled on top of bullshit, but when it really gets down to it, none of it truly matters. So just have a good old time, whether young or old. I hope that you can maintain that for yourself. Anyway, another tangent, sorry. Then I happened to glance to my right and noticed that the picking had begun. Like, you picking horses? No. Bowling Princess was scratching and picking vigorously at her numerous mosquito bites, causing small trails of blood to start trickling down her leg. Why are you doing that? Horrified, I shook my head and turned back to the instructor, figuring I should just try to ignore this wackadoo and get back to learning about, you know, the cool stuff. And horses are very cool stuff. And then the flies started. Oh my god, dude. She's gonna get fly eggs in her mosquito wounds. Sorry, spoilers maybe. First, just a few little fruit flies and gnats were flitting about, which of course was natural for a barn, but then more and more appeared, causing me to slap crazily at the air. Once again, I turned to my right, and this time I yelled out, "Oh my god!" Dude, I don't know if you're eating a sandwich or some such, put it down, please. It's not going a good way. Bowling Princess was sitting, legs covered in lines of blood, calmly watching a swarm of insects crawl in and out of her scratched open bug bites. I don't think this is a 15-year-old girl shit. Like, this is some true psychopathy that I'm watching unfold right now. I'm not even sure how to quantify it. Like, why? Why do you... Of course, the instructor immediately turned her attention to me, frowning and questioning my outburst. However, once I explained, she too visibly recoiled in disgust, before turning to Bowling Princess and asking her if she knew that there were bugs inside of her open sores. Bowling Princess loudly wheezed, "Yeah, I know, but they're gonna suck out all the toxins from the mosquitoes." Yeah, that's how this works. Maggots can eat like gangrenous tissue and such, but yeah, I don't think mosquito spit is gonna get fixed by this. Our instructor's eyes widened in further shock and horror as she stammered out, "No, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to cover those up and go sit on the bus." Yeah, also so you don't break the horse's spine. Bowling Princess' face contorted into a twisted pout, and her face grew a deepening shade of red as spittle started collecting at the corners of her mouth. She rage shrieked, hurtling her linebacker body off of the sagging barrel and landing with a deep, booming thud in the dirt and dust at our feet, flailing her arms about, dust and rocks and blood and flies swirling all around her like a mini tornado. Occasionally flinging shrapnel toward the rest of us. Of course, the rest of the campers were looking on and commenting in absolute amazement at the display before us. I mean, yeah, you ain't never seen some shit like that before, I'll guarantee it. You gotta write this in a letter to your parents, even they won't believe you. Like, you're exaggerating all that. That's fine, you don't have to believe me, I know what I seen. Finally, our bus driver and trip leader marched over. She was a no-nonsense lady, and she cut loudly and sharply through Bowling Princess's wailing with a terse, "Get up! Now!" Bowling Princess sulkily stilled her arms and legs and looked up at our trip leader, trying to sound pitiful. "But I just want to look at the horses," she whined in baby talk. Ugh. I hate that real good. Our leader just rolled her eyes, hoisted Bowling Princess with great effort off the ground, and marched her straight toward the bus. Dude, she could deadlift 350, that's amazing. This was our first run-in with Bowling Princess. If anyone wants to hear more, I'll write it. My apologies for lack of quality. Ha ha. Lack of quality, I don't know what you're talking about. There were evocative scenes in this, and you really described the caricature well. I don't know if she did all that much, aside from, like, be weird and gross. She's not hateable, but she's definitely... I don't know, man. Can you pawn this off on being a 15-year-old girl? I did some weird stuff when I was 15, but letting myself get infected and eaten alive by bugs... probably not at the top of my priority list. I'm gonna need some Gubbins insight on all of this. So, what do you think, boys?
The Bowling Princess is a parable of decay disguised as comedy. Beneath the slapstick of her body and the carnival of her outbursts lies a portrait of profound neglect. She is the festering echo of a generation without boundaries, where attention replaces affection, and spectacle becomes identity. But I see something else. A girl devoured not by flies, but by loneliness. Dark Gubbins.
Tragic tale. Not very funny, but yeah, fucking poignant. I like that. Let's see what Gubbins feels about it. Go ahead, son.
Like she wasn't Lady of the Flies because of her wounds? No. She summoned them like familiars. Her blood was Red Bull and regret, her skin a fly rave. When she howled about Dahosis, even the horses said, oh hell nay. That camp was supposed to build character. Instead, it built trauma. Somewhere in Vermont, there's still a rain barrel with PTSD. Gubbins.
Because she sat on the rain barrel. I don't know, I really like both of those. I'm gonna award a point each. Very, very nice, and we'll get into the second part, what I believe is the finale. But this story has been a treat thusly. If you're enjoying it, check out my Patreon, YouTube memberships. Hey, fourth wall for the merch. I do appreciate the support. Now let's get into, I guess, the finale. Bowling Princess, the brunch incident. Why do terrible things happen during brunch? That happened in the Married saga. She, like, locked herself in the bathroom all dramatically and shit. But yeah, Bowling Princess has a different vibe than Married. It's more immature, innocent. I dare say likable. At least on some level. Kind of gross, too. But I do like that. Thank you all so much for reading and being so kind-hearted and encouraging. Oh yeah, maybe I did, maybe. I really appreciate that. I have a few more incidents concerning Bowling Princess that I believe support my legbeard diagnoses. I agree 100%. It's a bit early to call it as, like, permanent, but 15 is the age about when the symptoms start showing up. Might be late stage symptoms for some. Anyway, one story being that I vaguely remember what and my friends ended up calling the brunch incident. As an aside, I also firmly believe that this story is the reason that I can no longer eat grits. Oh, bro, that's so sad. With delicious butter and sugar on them. Oh, I used to fucking hate grits. And then I learned how to prepare it properly. Make it sweet as shit so monkey brain go brrr. Anyway, so just as a setting and character refresher, there's the first story that we just read. There wasn't enough room to put it here. I like that. A big beefy tale, is it? So, to get into slightly more detail, the camp we attended was actually a college preparatory camp that utilized an actual campus, minus 95% of the students, as this was the summertime.
You're like school in summertime.
School in summertime?
Yeah, bitch, school in summertime.
Oh yeah, dude, look at this. College as a business, using their summer intersession to be like, we could fit some fucking people in here. They pay for the camp, and then maybe they get into the college and pay us some more. We're making money hand over fist, just handing out fucking papers. Anyway, that being said, our cafeteria was a standard, if somewhat small, college campus cafeteria. Food was served in a semi-buffet style, with food choice and portion size being left up to the campers' discretion. Mistake right there. Bowling Prince is gonna eat you out of house and home. There's nothing inherently wrong with this system. However, the freedom proved to be too much for some ill-equipped teens. Bowling Princess being one of them. Yeah, probably me too. Don't you guys want to have a food fight? Like this is a John Hughes film? Haley, Monique, Cam, and I were standing in line together, trays in hand, excitedly discussing, I don't know, teenage girl nonsense, when Cam quietly whispers to me, "Look over there." She simultaneously jerked her head toward the general direction of a few tables in the lunchroom. "Yeah?" I whispered back. "Those boys over there are looking. Let's go sit with them." She giggled and winked at me, and I giggled back nervously, nodding my head. Yeah, that's what summertime's for, you know, a little summertime romance. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Summer sun, something's begun, but the summer nights.
I hope that these boys are like peers and not college-age kids, because, yeah, OP is young as I recall in this story, so that's my caveat. Can we be specific about this, please, so I know how to feel? Thank you. Anyway, after we grabbed our food, us girls trailed behind Cam, who confidently flipped her blonde curls and smiled as she sat down with 5 or 6 boys, being sure to make room for the rest of us. Cam sat next to me with Monique to her left and Haley to the left of Monique. Yeah, I'm not going to try and figure that out. Nice seating arrangement. Primo! Of course, the first few minutes were a bit awkward, but soon we were all joking and laughing as we got to know each other. I'd like to mention that this was still week 1, so introductions were still being made quite often. Cam was leading the way conversationally, having mastered the technique of gracious flirting. Although she was definitely throwing herself out there, she was still leaving opportunities and openings for her girlfriends and talking them up and encouraging them every chance that she had. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Good wingman situation. We all sitting here vibing. What could possibly go wrong? However, a grating, screeching, metallic rasp threw a wrench into our groove as a plastic chair scraped across the floor. Yeah, the herald of your doom, OP. It moved loudly from an entirely different table and came to rest wedged tightly between 2 of the boys that happened to be sitting across from me, Gavin and his friend Adrian. Trust me, the names don't matter. Gavin and Adrian moved aside as best they could as a massive girl, who I quickly remembered from the bus, plunked down in the seat with a large plate in front of her. She reached across the table and stuck her hand out, arm outstretched, and waving childishly, moistly lisping out, "Ah, I'm Bowling Princess." She didn't actually say Bowling Princess, as that would be the bizarre screen name that she used in people's phones. She said her real name here. I grimaced internally, but I smiled and replied, "Well, hi, Bowling Princess, I'm OP." She shook her head excitedly, her stringy blonde hair shaking in dreadlock-esque clumps around her chubby face. She was wearing a sort of loose spaghetti-strap dress that nearly exposed one of her boobs. And I say one of them because, as she would later explain, one's an A cup and the other's a C cup. So I buy tops to fit the C side, and sometimes my boobs fall out. Oh yes, what a treat for nobody. Maybe you should consider fixing that in some way. Part of me is tempted to ask like why they're different sizes, but I don't think I want to go there with you. I'm not ready for that conversation. I'll just accept it as a fact of life and move myself along. Thank you. So yeah, there she is. No bra, no tank top, no nothing. Just a dress with spaghetti straps and a dangerously gaping neckline. Her chest was covered in deep red stretch marks, as were her arms. I mean, no shame here, I'm just painting a picture. And the next words out of her mouth are, I got a lot of black friends at home. Remember, I'm mixed, lol. Yes, this is how we build bridges. Hello, Asian person. I also know some Asian people who are similar to you. Maybe. I just don't think it's the banger conversation opener that you think it is, you know? Point out something about somebody. You can use anything. I know lots of people that have extraordinary amounts of nose hair. I know people be like, what? Do I have nose hair? Just fuck with them. I stared first at her, then at Cam and Monique, who had her hand over her mouth and her eyebrows raised nearly to her hairline. There was a beat or two before Cam, narrowing her eyes slightly, turned to Haley and loudly said, "So, anyway," making it clear that she wasn't even going to acknowledge Bowling Princess's inappropriate remark. Slowly and clunkily, the conversation resumed again. Bowling Princess, however, sat confused, clearly not accustomed to not receiving attention for her antics. Ah, Cam sussed that out immediately, huh? It's like, I know what's gonna work on this. I've seen this shit before. We'll see how long it lasts. After a minute or two, I made a mistake. I felt bad for the socially awkward Bowling Princess slouching across from me, and I said, "Hey, what you eatin'?" as I glanced at her plate. It was then that I noticed something. She had a large plate, ringed with ham, and a large bowl of grits at the centerpiece. That was it. No napkin, no fork, nothing on that plate but ham and grits. Ham and Grits. It's a great band name. It's gonna be me and Surprise Attack Ninja. Instead of Halloweenies, we're changing our name to Ham and Grits. I don't know who's who yet. We could also be Pork and Applesauce, but I definitely call Pork in that one. Bowling Princess grinned and giggled deeply. Imagine a female Beavis and Butthead. Seriously. But at the same time. And female. I'm having trouble imagining it, seriously. Ham and grits! She belched out. Literally. She belched while saying this. I was still in shock, and as I watched, transfixed, she grabbed a thick slice of ham and using it like some sort of meaty soup spoon, ladled the grits at her mouth. I say at her mouth because I would estimate like a mere 73% of the spoonful actually made it into her chew hole. The rest circled her mouth, dropping a piece or two onto her chest and onto the table. Like, literally, the silverware's right there. You would have a much better time. I understand the primal urge to eat with your hand, but like, there's also a certain artistry to it, you know? She doesn't know. She doesn't care. Now, I will say I feel a bit badly about my responses here, but I really couldn't help it. I gurgled out a choked, "Oh, wow, that's gross." However, nobody else seemed to even see our situation. This changed when, after letting out another laugh, Bowling Princess said, "Okay, have it your way," and she plunged her face into her grits, slurping and smacking like the jowliest of hound dogs. Don't you put that evil on hound dogs, please. OP shouts out, "Oh my god!" as everyone, and I mean everyone, turned and gawked. We all watched as Bowling Princess slowly raised her head, grits dripping from her nose, stuck to her lashes and her forehead. Small chunks were speckled through her stringy hair, small pieces littering the floor and her lap. Why did you do this? She smiled a creamy, grit-covered smile and giggled loudly. Cam and Haley gasped in unison, while Monique choked on a sip of orange juice. Adrian muttered, "Oh wow, friggin' nasty," and Gavin shook his head in agreement. Bowling Princess was smiling smugly as though she'd done something truly legendary. "See? No ham!" she smirked, proud of her sassy joke. Yeah, you really you got it figured out there. Jesus Christ. Somebody get away from me. My stomach was turning. I'd never seen such a thing in my entire life. I was disgusted. Standing up, I sharply said, "Get a fucking utensil! That's really gross!" I snatched my tray off the table, threw my food into the trash, and left the cafeteria shaking my head. My friends followed, also seemingly having lost their appetites, Sadly, this was just the beginning. TLDR, girl eating grits like dog ruins grits forever. I mean, it didn't ruin grits for me, to be clear. Who doesn't love some corn grain niblets smothered in honey, you know? I don't know if I love it enough to eat it like a dog, at least not in public. Like I said, I do understand the primal urge on some level. Eating with your hands can be fun. Did you ever have a shower orange and you just tear into it like an animal and let your juice drip down your forearms and shit? You don't have to worry because you're in the shower already. But it's that sort of fun without the aromatic aspect to it. I mean, I guess grits and ham sort of aromatic. And she's got like a cheese fungus smell that's also probably aromatic. Still, none of it ruins grits for me. I want ham and grits right fucking now. How do you feel about it, boys?
She uses dead meat flesh to scoop grain sludge into her face hole. She eats like a germ engulfing a host, but messier. She smears the paste on her eye hairs because her brain sac is leaking. She is just a rupturing pustule begging to be poked. Smash. Gubbins.
It's not bad. What was that? Meat flesh to scoop grain sludge into her face hole. That's gonna be a hard one to beat. I gotta tell you that. Try it out, Dark Gubbins.
Witnesses observe the jester of filth. She mistakes repulsive for charismatic. She plunges her face into the trough because she has no soul to offer, only shock value. She wears her masticated waist like a crown, but she is merely a stain on the tablecloth of existence. Dark Gubbins.
Like I said, Gubbins is gonna take home the title again today. That's like 3 days in a row for Gubbins. It's really okay. Okay, you guys can give Gubbins, if you are a member, you have the Gubbins emoji and alongside the trophy emoji, or you could just like the comment that I'm gonna pin for it. But Gubbins does deserve his trophy, damn it. 3 days in a row, he's gonna be like Ken Jennings on Jeopardy. Yes, sign a contract with me. We're gonna do this forever. Tales from the home, Glamourbeard. Hooray. Hello, ReddX and the beardy scientists. I'm here to tell a different tale. One coming not from my days in community college, but from my own family. After going through video after video of ReddX's and other YouTubers' Neckbeard and Legbeard reads, I came to the realization that I have family members that fit into the beard class type. Yeah, there's quite a few different stipulations for all that. You have like lower beards and upper echelon beards. I think my qualifiers were sense of entitlement and delusions of grandeur, and that's a lot of people these days. It's crazy. Anyway, also if you go into my account, you'll find Queenie and Sourface weren't the only kissing cousins that I know. Oof. However, I'm holding off on telling that one because it's still ongoing and I'm waiting to see if it comes to light. Again, sorry for the bad grammar, still learning how to English. Well, this is good practice, I think. The first episodes of this was rough, and then like it's gotten significantly better in the coming years that we've done it. So yeah, up top, OP, fucking MVP place. Self-improvement, and I get a cool story out of it. So on to the tale. So who is Glamourbeard? I hate to say this, but she is my aunt, my mother's younger sister. You see, just like your stereotypical Mexican family, my grandparents from my mother's side had 15 kids. Holy shit, man. No joke. Gotta love Catholics and their hatred for birth control. Okay, but you know, you get 8, and you're probably like, we pumped the brakes before we hit double digits. Leave room for like the accident, the surprise baby in there. 15 kids is fucking wild. My mother is the second youngest of her family, and Glamourbeard is the baby. Now, why did I call her Glamourbeard? Well, for the fact that for many years she's been obsessed with appearances and reputation. Yeah, I imagine somebody with like just makeup caked on real thick, clearly too old to be wearing all that. I believe in a thing called aging gracefully, but whatever, maybe she pulls it off. What the fuck do I know? However, Glamourbeard hated the fact that my mother is the one that has the better reputation than her in the small Mexican farm/ranch town. Yeah, we're playing for all the apples. Reputation in a town nobody's ever heard of. Sweet. Did you guys know I'm the most popular guy in Arvin? Where the fuck is Arvin? Nobody knows! This is just a collection of stories told by my mom and other family members about Glamourbeard due to the fact that I've never visited her nor Mexico until just a few years ago. Well, I'm glad you got to go. I probably wouldn't go now, 2 decades later, but when I was like 12, it was pretty nice. LP says, picture this. It is 1976 and a nice summer's day. At the time, kids as young as 6 years old could work for a paycheck as long as they are helping their parents. It was a different time. It builds character. My mother started helping my grandfather at the age of 8, and she started earning some dough. My marital grandparents weren't rich, and Glamourbeard hated that fact, because the kids in that small town made fun of her. Aww. Good for you for being less poor than me. It doesn't matter. I mean, to kids it really does, though. The real fact is that she wanted to be friends with the daughters of the 4 richest in that town, families. And how can you hang out with a group of people when you're not even in the same social class? She's a social climber for sure. She's gonna do all she can. Go get him, Glamourbeard. I believe in you. Once you reach the top, you look back down and be like, gosh, it's bullshit up here too. Glamourbeard, being 7 years old and being too pretty to work in poor people's jobs, did something that my other aunts and uncles still bring up with her to this day. From what my mother had told me as well, at the time it was fashionable to wear a bandana with a flower crown and purple-tinted sunglasses to show that you were cool. Yeah, I tied an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time.
They didn't have white onions because of the war. The only thing you could get was those big yellow ones.
It's definitely something out of 1976, I'll say that. You really want to be cool, you gotta smash a guitar like Peter Frampton. And the thing is, all of the bandanas we had were old or used or faded, so she needed to buy new and better ones. My grandpa worked as a farmhand/helper, and also the sunglasses weren't cheap. They cost around 4,000 pesos at the time, which is about 308 USD. Or if we translated to today's money, it would be 1,714 USD. Okay, yeah, but just inflation since 1976. Who's out here collecting vintage sunglasses? Not that many people. Best I can do is $200. Best I can do. LP says again, no joke, she really did want these high-end sunglasses that would be unfashionable in 4 years. Yeah, $100 is my offer now. Glamourbeard would go to every single member of the family and ask them for money. Of course, they said no, because who the fuck has that kind of money just lying around? Of course, that was no good for Glamourbeard, but then she remembered something. My mother was working with my granddad, and she knew where my mom was hiding the money. Oh my god. He better beat the fucking brakes off that kid. What is this? It's all I have, you little maniac! Glamourbeard did act on her plan. When my mother came back from working and had just gotten paid, she would hide her savings in a corner of the dresser. But as soon as my mother left, Glamourbeard acted. My mom only had maybe 200 or 250 in the purse, but Glamourbeard didn't care. She took it all and bought the cheapest pair of sunglasses she could get on the same day, and like a dumbass, then went to show it off. Yeah, kids are just not, they don't see that far into the future. Consequences are a thing we have to learn. My mother saw Glamourbeard with the new glasses and told on her to her parents. My grandma didn't say anything, but my grandfather said she has to return it, because they need that money for rent. Like a true legbeard, in come the crocodile tears, saying, "It's not fair! She said I could have it!" Lie. "They're mine now!" Blah, blah, blah. My mom, being the tomboy she always was, told her, "Can I see? I promise I'm not gonna do anything." As soon as Glamourbeard gave her the glasses with the case, my mother put it in her pocket and started to beat the crap out of her. Now she's crying real tears. Yeah, it's sibling on sibling. I'm pretty sure this is fine. It's legal within the bounds of the law. We tried to stop it. No, really, you're like, okay, we're not going for a knockout here. Just a lesson. My grandmother tried to punish my mother, but my grandfather reminded her of what Glamourbeard did. So the one who got to punish Glamourbeard was herself. Yeah, and your mom helped too. Beat the crap out of her. My mom and grandfather did return the glasses and got the money back in full, and from that moment on, my mother just gave the money to my granddad. Oh yeah, she's not gonna go into granddad's sock drawer. Fast forward to when Glamourbeard was 12. Remember those rich girls that Glamourbeard wanted to be friends with? To sugarcoat it, well, they saw her as too much. Or the real way to say it, they saw her as a fucking biche. These 4 girls' families were well known because their families owned the town's tradable goods, and those tradable goods are what the town was known for. So let's name the first girl May. She's the daughter of the town's biggest dairy farm, and their farm ships to 8 different cities, obviously making them a lot of money. The second girl, Lily, was the daughter of the town's many corn farms, and they shipped to the USA as well. She's the only one who spoke English very well. The third girl, Maya, was the daughter of the town's mayor, and she'd been raised to be a leader. And finally, the fourth and richest girl, Linda, was the daughter of the town's clothing, perfume, and jewelry shops, the high-end ones. And even though this is a small town, it's a historic town, meaning that a lot of people travel there. Glamourbeard really did try to be friends with them, but from what my family's told me, these girls don't hang out with the people of the town. Yes, the poors. Because all the kids of the rich families go to live in the big cities until one of them inherits the family business when they're older. Glamourbeard didn't get the memo, obviously. She wanted to have the lifestyle of those girls, and she's always been obsessed with American entertainment. Yeah, see, there's the problem. You're media poison. You thought life is supposed to be like you saw in the movies, but that's not it, you know? It can't be like that all the time. Matter of fact, it very rarely is. Also, fucking Glamourbeard just a hanger-on, you know? You don't want to work for any of your own stuff. You think you can just glom on. There's a reason that they've built fences that high, you know? in those rich families. Anyway, OP says, my mother had the better reputation, since my mother would also help out with my grandmother's food delivery and bakery. Yeah, she's out there doing shit, so people like her. Crazy. People like producers. She, like basically the rest of my aunts and uncles, knew how to get a sale, and or the people would talk to them when they had free time. Even though they weren't making that much money, they weren't starving. This part is where Glamourbeard made a plan to be part of those rich girls' group. According to my Aunt Susie, the reason the rich girls didn't want Glamourbeard to be near wasn't because she was poor, but for the fact that Glamourbeard's personality and attitude tended to push people away from her. And also the fact that generally if Glamourbeard acted better than everybody else, she did tend to get her way. I've met these girls, who are now women, when I went back to see my mom's hometown. They're pretty nice ladies. A little out of touch, but nice. I mean, they got a bubble, yeah. Now this is the part that I can't help but to laugh and cringe at. Glamourbeard would take one of my grandmother's best gold hoop earrings, wear my grandmother's makeup, poorly done, like blue eyeshadow and bubblegum pink lipstick. That's what I imagined. And wore this foundation that was 2 shades too dark for her. Since this was in Mexico, she'd glam up for school in her school uniform that was navy blue. Y'all, the way both my mother and Aunt Susie described the moment she stepped into that school, my mother being a year older and my aunt being 3 years older, they saw the entire thing in the schoolyard that morning. Picture a 12-year-old tween girl with god-awful makeup, hoop earrings that were way too big for her ears, and she makes a beeline to the group of rich girls who are basically just standing there minding their own business. Glamourbeard then goes off by saying, "Hey girls, notice something about me? Yeah, my mom just bought me this new makeup set, and it's pretty expensive. Isn't it cool?" Bless your heart, you know? Fuck it. I feel bad, but it's hilarious. All four girls then turn to each other and just burst out laughing. Like, full-on belly laughing. Because imagine one moment you're talking to your friend, and the next you're greeted by a girl with what looks like clown makeup on. And then my mother tells me that since this happened, everybody in the middle of the school's courtyard, and this was just minutes before class, so I mean like everybody, essentially the entire small town remembers just seeing this girl wearing makeup for the first time. And we all can't help but laugh. It's a ridiculous scenario. She tried so hard. You're out here doing the most, but you need to stop. The best part is, Glamourbeard was not even sent home to wash off the makeup. No, instead, every single teacher saw and just blurted out a comment like, "Oh my, are you signing up for a play or something?" And every single classmate burst out laughing. It got to a point that by lunchtime, both boys and girls were calling her La Payasita, little clown girl. Glamourbeard had enough, and she ran to the restroom and just cried, smearing the blue eyeshadow and pink lipstick, making her face look even worse. Now she's a sad clown. The school called my grandmother about being a distraction to the student body and causing a scene. When my grandmother asked why, the school told her what Glamourbeard told those rich girls, thinking that what she had said was true. My grandmother then told them to send Glamourbeard, my mother, and my Aunt Susie back home because, I don't know, might as well. Both Aunt Susie and my mother came home with tears rolling down their cheeks because they were laughing so hard. Before my mother could even ask, in comes Glamourbeard, face covered in blue and pink smudges, with a look of embarrassment. My grandmother, being your typical Mexican lady, knew it right away, and my mother asked if she could go to their shared room to change into her work outfit so she could get off to work. As did Aunt Susie. Glamourbeard tried to follow them, but my grandmother was having none of that. The walls of my grandparents' place were paper thin, and they heard everything. Grandma yelling at Glamourbeard about ruining her makeup because she found it all messed up, like color was blending together, which made the thing unusable. She told Glamourbeard she needed to replace it, and all the while Glamourbeard was just crying while my grandmother was washing her face. Bro, she is the baby. Grandmom's way too soft on Glamourbeard. We gotta step up that consequences game. My grandfather then came home from working at one of the farms in town to see a crying and red-faced Glamourbeard. He asked about the situation, my grandma told him everything, and then he asked, well, did you comfort her after what the kids said to her? With a scoff, my grandma responded, no! She destroyed my makeup. Plus, her crying saved us some water, at least. Well, that's what my mother and my aunt told me Grandma said. Did that stop Glamourbeard from trying again? Nope. She just doesn't learn. Oh, goodness gracious. What a wild ride. I love the clown makeup. I want to get the Gubbinses in here now that we're nearing the halfway point and see their take on things. Because this is quite a show.
Tiny Thief want $1,700 shades while family count tortillas. Steal sister's pay, then cry like leaky piñata when caught. Show up to school with circus paint and grandma's hoops. Ask rich girls, notice me. They notice clown car with one passenger. Gubbins.
Damn, savage. Good recap of the couple of stories that were in that story. So, yeah, high five. How do you feel about it, Dark One?
She didn't want to work. She wanted to be worshipped. And now she's just a legend told at lunch to warn children about hubris and cheap perfume. You can't contour over the poverty in your spirit. You'll die with smudged lipstick and a receipt for reputation unpaid. Dark Gubbins.
Damn, dude, can't contour the poverty in your spirit. That's poor people mindset right there. That's what you're looking at. All right, let's continue on and see where else this story might go. Okay, so again, let's fast forward to when my mom was 14 and Glamourbeard was 13. Now, this story is one that my mother always tells me, my sister, and every cousin that I have as a tale on how not to be stupid and to pick me. Now that my mother's 14, she could work on her own, meaning she had more income to her name and opened a bank account, while Glamourbeard is still stuck in her "I'm too pretty to work" attitude. In comes who I will call Pretty Boy, the 14-year-old guy that was my mother's first, boyfriend. To note, my mother was always chubby, and this guy thought my mother had low self-esteem, but my mom did not give a fuck. Yeah, I guess. Take what you could get. Sort of a low way to go, though. Whatever, everybody's happy. It's fine. Glamourbeard, on the other hand, was always skinny, and made it a point to remind my mom about that fact, since Pretty Boy was the town's heartthrob, and every girl wanted him because he was the first one to have a full-grown beard. Glamourbeard had eyes on him, but to everybody's surprise, he asked out my mother instead. Now, my mother was one of those few teens that had a full-time job, again, different times, so she could 100% afford a full-scale date. Glamourbeard was giving my mom a hard time, and by hard time, I mean she was really just putting down my mom, saying, "God, why would he stoop so low as to date you? You're so fat and ugly and not even girly, unlike me. I'm prettier than you 'cause I'm skinny." Apparently Pretty Boy doesn't think so. He likes some meat on the bones. And also she could take me out for a fine steak dinner, you know? Don't scoff at that. With a roll of the eyes, my mother would either tell her to shove it or add chili into her underwear. Yeah, my mom actually did that. It's devious. She got ready for the date, but as she returned, my family would ask, and she said, well, it just didn't work out. Yeah, he just wanted a free steak dinner. Glamourbeard didn't miss a beat on confessing her feelings toward him, i.e. dating him to rub salt in the wound, and boy did she gloat about that every chance she got, including to my mother, of course. However, something was off. My mom wasn't sad. In fact, all she could do was laugh her ass off. But why? Why wasn't she crying tears of anger instead of tears of joy? Why did she have that shit-eating grin on her face? Thought Glamourbeard and all of the town's girls. Dear reader, this part is where I found out that I had a pretty badass mom. Pretty Boy really did think that my mom would let him walk all over her, but no. On that date, he was acting like a gentleman, all nice, saying shit like he'd pay for everything at this nice restaurant that my mom worked for, but as soon as the bill came, he conveniently needed to go to the bathroom. Turns out he does that to every girl that he dates. He's got no endgame aside from like a full tummy. But my mama ain't no spring chicken, you know? First she waited and waited and waited. She knew, and with a big smile, she got up and walked to her boss and said, "Hey boss, have you seen my date?" And then her boss, an older woman, said, "Yeah, he's waiting outside." So with a grin, my mom goes, "Oh, good." Me and my date decide to go Dutch and pay for our own meals. So my mom paid for her meal and headed outside, not telling him a fucking thing. He was all smiles, thinking he tricked her, but then my boss came to yell at him to fucking pay! And he was shocked as he turned to see my mother walking away. Bro, why would he stick around? What is what is that? Yeah, I ditched her, but I just wanted to see her face after I did. He yells, and my mom yells back, "I like cheap dates! I definitely don't like ones that make the woman pay." And she got on her bike and biked back to the restaurant, only to see Pretty Boy washing dishes in order to pay off his bill. My family swears this is a true story, and you know, small town gossip. That is the dumbest kid I've ever met. I hope his good looks last forever, because his brain ain't going fucking nowhere. Glamourbeard was the last one to hear this news, of course, but she thought, obviously he did it because you're fat and ugly. And my mom just smiled and said, "Good luck." She dated him for a good 10 plus years, and the guy was miserable. Glamourbeard was the jealous type, the toxic kind of jealous, which leads us into our next story. Wow, she sunk her claws into Pretty Boy. My goodness. Anyway, flash forward. It's 1992 in sunny California. Oh, beautiful. What a time to be alive. My mother moved here on her 17th birthday, but alone to live the American dream, and at this point, she is 24 years old. At the time, she lived in La Puente in a shitty apartment. We don't live in LA County nor anywhere near it, so I ain't doxing myself. Yeah, I've been through there. Since it's the 90s in California, picture every single Cholo movie that's been created, but I don't know, like, less fictional, I guess. According to my brother, ain't none of that shit fictional, but, yeah, probably more romanticized than the movies. Anyway, I can hear it now. In the far distance, you can hear that oh-so-familiar Mexican music, the smell of carne asada, and the sound of drunk men inside that shitty apartment complex. From what my mom talked about, long-distance calls were hell to pay. Very expensive. Yeah.
Very expensive.
It's kind of ridiculous how that shit changed up, you know? Now I could call my grandma every week from the Philippines for free, essentially. Why? Because we learned to bounce shit off a satellite, I guess. We're not running cables anymore, so you don't have to pay for it. Anyway, Mom made it work so she could talk to her family back in Mexico. Y'all, she remembers that every single time she called, she got some good-ass chisme about Glamourbeard. Remember Pretty Boy? Well, ever since getting together with Glamourbeard, his life was fucking awful because our legbeard in question was indeed nuclear toxic waste. For example, their first year of dating, he cheated on Glamourbeard with the town's 304, which if you type into a calculator and hold it upside down, it's, ho. I always spell boobs as my calculator. But I guess 304 is nicer. Some people don't know. They're like, what are you, a cop? Don't do that. Glamourbeard found out, and what she did is ruin his reputation and have him kicked out of his job. However, she didn't break up with him. She's gonna suck his soul out. If you're like me, you'd ask, well, why the hell not? He cheated. He might give you a disease. But this is my aunt, Glamourbeard. It's all about her reputation, not his. So what she said to him was, never cheat on me again, or I'll make it worse. And then she'd go out and say that, I'm the only one that can fix him. I'm the only one good enough for him. And in the same breath, he's so stupid, he's the biggest loser ever. He should be happy a girl like me is even giving him a chance as his dick is so small and he's crapping bad. She really did break down his ego and self-esteem. Fucking move to another town. I don't know what to tell you, bro. I think it's karma, but there is more. Every time he tried to break up with her, she'd scream bloody murder and act like he was maltreating her. When he caved in, she would then call him a useless sack of crap and emasculate him and cry to him when he leaves her just to go back to his house. No, you have to stay here and be miserable with me. God, it must be so exhausting to not only be around her, but actually be Glamourbeard. Fuck, man. She's got so many schemes and weird shit going on. When Pretty Boy and Glamourbeard were together, she would then flirt with others in front of him, and then when he would confront her about it, she'd just bring up the time when he cheated on her, even though he only did it once, that we know of. Side note, cheating once is way too many even for me. Even though I'm aromantic, it is still broken trust. 100%, I'd be fucking up and out. It's so disrespectful. Got a house, kids, all that shit. I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry. You made this choice. Pretty Boy and Glamourbeard were one of those off and on couples that just annoy the fuck out of you. I'm sure there's more to their relationship, but this was years ago, and my mother doesn't really remember all that much. What she would say, however, is that every time she did talk to Glamourbeard directly, Glamourbeard, without fail, would non-stop bish and moan about Pretty Boy, tell her everything I've said here, and ended with, and he still hasn't proposed! I want a nice expensive ring I can show off! Do you think I still have a chance of marrying Michael Jackson? And I don't think he's into your type. He's got another type. If you think the last one was a joke, you're 100% wrong. Remember, she was obsessed with American entertainment, and she loves Michael Jackson. She was 100% serious, and did want to come to the USA, not to work, no, only to marry rich. Also, this toxic bitch wanted her cheating boyfriend that she always put down to marry her. Yes, sign a contract with me. We're gonna do this forever. Oh my god, I feel my soul spiraling down. Let's jump forward a few more years. In order, my mother meets my father, and they dated and married and had my sister. Then they moved to a better city, and they had me, the OP. I kind of remember seeing my mother have the face of, I'm done with this shit, every time she tells this story. Everybody in my mother's town knew about her life, and Glamourbeard was not having it. Again, in order, she and Pretty Boy, still not married, still fighting. Well, they break up and get together a bunch of times, and Pretty Boy gained a bunch of weight. Glamourbeard hates that. She cry bullies him and cries to anyone that'll listen, rinse and repeat until something happened. One day, my mother got a call from my grandmother. She was crying. She thought that something bad happened and asked, what's the deal? In between tears, my grandmother says that Glamourbeard is pregnant. Oh no. Glamourbeard thinks he has to now marry her, and she is so happy. But the now not so pretty boy did what any man in this situation would do. He went out to get milk and never came back. You probably should have did this before you left a bun in the oven, but I don't know. This whole thing is so fucking sordid, and I hate every step of it. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Not So Pretty Boy went to get milk in a different Mexican state, just to make sure he finds the right brand for the baby. Wink, wink. My cousin was born a few months after I was born, and that leads us to the end of this tale. Once again, in order, Glamourbeard starts crying about how being a single mother is hard, but still won't get a job because Pretty goes to work. They marry rich. Have you ever thought that maybe you're just, I hate to say it out loud, but maybe you're just not as pretty as you think? You're not on that level to walk into a room and capture everybody's attention, okay? That's why you've had to try so hard, and even the trying so hard, it's not working out. Put it to bed, alright? Get a job down at the Safeway or whatever. Mexican Safeway. Then Glamourbeard starts comparing me to my cousin, calling me the ugliest baby she's ever seen, and says, my daughter's way prettier than her daughter. Pretty like her mother. My mother threatens to cut her off. Glamourbeard still lives in her childhood home with my grandparents at this time. They're too soft. You gotta put her out. Come on. She cries and promises to behave, and then makes up lies about my grandparents' health to get more money. Gets caught in the lie, cries again, has to return all the expensive shit just to pay her bills. Repeat this every 4 fucking months, and that leads us up to modern day. Yes, what a time loop. Picture it! It was 4 months ago. The cousin that was born after me we would call Mel, and she pieces out of that home as soon as she turned 18 and went no contact. She revealed that Glamourbeard couldn't give 2 shits about her, and she looked a lot like her father, so yeah, a lot of mistreatment, as well as one too many random men coming in and out of the house as soon as both grandparents had passed. Adding to the fact that Glamourbeard's now in her 60s, she thought she'd never find a good man that sees my worth as a princess. You gotta graduate to queen. You're 60. You're 60. Oh no. Just sat around waiting for grandparents to die and turn their house into a whorehouse, a crack den. Oh! You're breaking my heart. But also, like, you chose this every step of the way. You never not chose this. Every time. Fucking crazy. Opie says yes, she still calls herself a princess. But she met this guy who was in his 30s and thought she was hot shit for being a cougar. That, however, was shattered as soon as he gave her a black eye. Damn, should never happen. I'm not sure even Glamourbeard deserves it. My mom was never really close to Glamourbeard, but nobody does that to her family. Yep, something bad might happen. I just now have realized that I have my mother's anger. However, my family can't just drop everything and go to Mexico and cut his dong off. Her words, not mine. So she thought of something else. Her homies in the cartel. Oh, lovely. I have no idea how she wired money to the grunts of the plaza without getting caught, but she did it. And let's just say that the 30-something-year-old was returned back to his family. Holy shit, man. I mean, yeah. Send one of ours to the hospital. We send one of yours to the morgue. This is what comes of blood for blood, OP. Sangre por sangre.
La familia es todo.
She's still a bitch, though. And sad to say, Glamourbeard hasn't learned anything. But now, happy to be single and men ain't shit. Yeah, sure, Glamourbeard. I totally believe you. Sad as hell. But yeah, the things we tell ourselves to get through the day. Now, I get these random messages on the Book of Faces from her every time I check it, which is rare, by the way, only to check up on family. It always starts off all nice and sweet, calls me her sweet little nephew who can't do any wrong. Clearly she doesn't know about the Queenie saga. And right on cue, then she starts e-begging for money. Bish, I ain't giving you money. If I'm giving away my money, I'm giving it to my mama, who actually gave a shit about her kids. I would also give some to ReddX, but I live paycheck to paycheck. Tears. Yeah, tears on this side too, but you watch the videos, you know, like, what else can I really ask? I'm out here doing the thing. Like, if it finds you, maybe you break me off. Maybe. Only if you want to. What am I worth to you? Like, time in the day has a really big worth, and that's not to be discounted or underestimated. So thank you, OP. You also wrote a shit ton of stories. Amazing. Anyway, right on cue, I tell Glamourbeard no, and she goes off saying, "Screw you, you lesbian! I can't believe my niece would degrade herself by looking like a man! You're going to hell, and you're delusional, thinking you could ever be a man. The only reason you want to be a man is because you're ugly!" Okay, I get to catch up. So that I closed the Book of Faces, but not before taking screenshots, sending them to my mom, and then getting on a three-way call from her and Glamourbeard ugly crying. My mom angrily says, "Say it! Now!" to Glamourbeard, and between sobs she says, "I'm sorry, nephew," followed by, "Please don't cut me off, sister. You're the only one I have," and a few other family members. Now, I'm a grown-ass man, but I can't believe that a 60-something lady would still act like a child. It's because she never left her comfort zone. This is what happens. She never tested her limits or pushed her boundaries or became a bigger, more interesting person. She's just all suspended adolescence all the time. There's not an individual of worth inside, and I hate to say it. But when I see it, I have to say it. Anyway, Glamourbeard hangs up, and I burst out laughing now because I get this crap from her, and we don't even know each other personally. We've never even met in person. She really hard up for money, huh? Just, yeah, fucking relatives I never met before. Could you send me something? Yeah, I'll send you a fucking job application. To my Latinos that live in the States, do you guys have the same problem when it comes to family beg/demanding that you send money just because the currency ratio in their country's way more? Because it's American money? Because goddamn. I just want to know about my family without them objectifying me as their personal ATM. Sorry for the rant. Yeah, I mean, you gotta draw pretty hard boundaries. It's sort of the same when I came to Philippines, you know? People are like, "You're gonna do a lot of nice stuff for me, right?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'll buy you a beer sometimes, maybe." That's about it. We are all our own ships. We gotta forge our own paths, you know? Anyway, sorry for the rant. Thank you for reading this tale. I know it's a short one and a big wall of text, but I'm just translating stories that my mother's told me about her family. But there are more beards in my family, and I wanted to write out something in between tales about my time in community college. If this takes off and you want more, well, I'll write more, because it's like a form of therapy for me. I also have family members that fit the nice guy or nice girl class type as well. Drink lots of fluids, not Mountain Dew! With peace and love, Dizzy out. I want to hear more. I want to hear more real bad. Can we have more? Yeah, I like Glamourbeard. She's a specimen, you know, not stereotypical anime shiz, but they didn't really have anime back in 1976. I mean, kinda they did, but it existed, but it wasn't mainstream as shit like it is now. She's a wild character that, like, sadly never learned her lesson. I think that's the most depressing part. I don't know. There were many chances to turn things around, but she's like, no, I don't want to work hard. Then you don't get to have nice things, you know? I think I said earlier that people like producers, not just people, like the world. The universe in general tends to move in your direction as long as you're pushing forward on something. And she just refused to push forward on anything. This is fucking ludicrous. I'll let the governors get in here one last time. What do you think, boys?
Me thought story over. Nope, she evolved like Pokemon of bad decisions. 40 years of clown makeup, still crying, still broke, still too pretty to work. Me never see someone speedrun generational embarrassment this long. Gubbins.
Not much of a speedrun. It's long, it's languorous, it's fucking painful, but it definitely wasn't evolution. Or devolution. Maybe she's more like a Digimon, because she can devolve. I think Pokemon can't go backwards. Sorry. What do you have to say about this one, Dark One?
Behold the fossil record of delusion. A woman who mistook narcissism for nobility, cruelty for class. She birthed misery and called it glamour. Every decade she molts another layer of dignity until all that's left is a skeleton wearing counterfeit perfume. She is proof that some souls are so hollow, the echo becomes their personality. Dark Gubbins.
Fucking deep, bro. I like when you say things, Dark Gubbins. I like your words, funny man.
We appreciate your interest, but we've decided to go with other options.
A tale from the trenches. So I'll start off with the disclaimers. Lurked for a while. This is my first post. English is my native language, and I'm not on mobile, so I guess no excuses for grammatical errors. Yeah, except fuck you, I don't care. Just say it. Say it right up front. I respect you more for it. The basic background is that I do historic reenactment as a hobby, and so often spend my weekends out in fields, etc., dressed as a historic soldier. At one of these events a while back, I met my first wild neckbeard. The characters are as follows: OP, a private for the display that we are portraying, and your storyteller. Sarge, a fellow reenactor with years of experience in the hobby, and is a squad leader for the event. Basically organizes setup of display and coordination of our group in the display battle. Neckbeard, of course, is the neckbeard of our story, thinks he's a history buff, ticks most of the neckbeard boxes. Poorly kept neckbeard, greasy long hair, bad odor, rather rotund, cargo trousers, faded t-shirt with stains, and also the t-shirt was too small. Okay, that's the external appearance, but I want to crawl around in his mind. Already I'm getting a little vibe of Flintlock Beard. You remember that? That saga that went fucking tits up? Like, that OP wrote the story, got featured on the channel, everything, and then, like, a month later, he's sending pantsless toilet selfies to people in the Discord. My god, what a mess. Yeah, there's a few other people in this story scattered about the scene, but they play little to no role in the actual story. The story! For the event, the group that I'm in was portraying the US 82nd Airborne near the end of World War II. This is relevant to the story. Well, it starts at the start of the show, I guess. Sarge has set us to work, setting up our display area to look like the front line. So there's some foxholes and small trenches which had been dug in the days leading up to the event. I was tasked with grabbing some items from the camp, so off I go. I'm following the path out of the woods to our camp in the open field. As I get to the edge of the woods, I encounter our beardy historian. As I walk out, he makes eye contact with me. He immediately beelines towards me, as if trying to beat the closing doors of a tube train. Yeah, eye contact, that's amateur hour right there. I don't know why you would ever do that. You're from the 82nd Airborne display, aren't ya? Neckbeard exclaims, as if triumphantly, and before I can get a word out, he carries on. I do because I can see the side. Referring to the patch on my arm, which, yeah, he was correct about. Yeah, we're down that way. Just through the forest, I say, trying to politely get away so I can finish grabbing the kit for the setup. He cuts in on the end, saying, "Oh, well, where's all your stuff?" His tone was a mixture of smug and accusing. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You haven't got a gun or bullets or bags?" he splutters. "Oh yeah, it's down there. I gotta get some stuff," I reply, pointing again to our display and shuffling away a bit. I continue by saying, "Sorry, I really gotta go. I'll be back in a bit if you want to head down there. There's plenty to see." He sorta huffs and then turns and walks away down the path to our display, and I go and pick up the stuff. Well, does that mean he's fucking going or not? If you're gonna go, don't be an asshole. I'd just like to remind you of that. I returned to the display a few minutes later to see Neckbeard stood over one of the foxholes, yammering away to no one in particular about something. Couldn't make out what he was saying. As I get near, he sees me and stops. He comes over and blocks my path while I have a deactivated machine gun over my shoulder, in a cover, and the tripod in my hand. What's that?" he says, looking at my shoulder. I can only assume that most of the other people didn't offer him much conversation. "Yeah, I'm busy digging a fucking hole. How about you let me get on with it, huh?" OP says, "Well, give me 30 seconds and you could see," I say, "because the machine gun's pretty heavy and I don't really want to have to put it down." He eyes me up suspiciously and I have to ask to pass by. He lets me pass by him and I go to the foxhole and put the tripod down, unbag the rest, and set it up on the tripod. "Oh, cool! An MG42! Neckbeard shouts with an excited tone, replacing the smug one from earlier. No, this is the Browning M1919, I respond, correcting him, which seems to have been the wrong thing to do. "Yeah, how dare you, OP? Don't tell me the correct thing, just agree with what I said." Neckbeard looks around to see if anyone noticed his mistake, and there's only a couple, along with the other reenactors, but this is enough for his embarrassment. He's going red. As I go back to cleaning the metalwork and adjusting some sandbags, he suddenly starts spouting off a torrent of stuff about this and that and other loosely based on history things and the World War II time frame and a load of historical myths and falsehoods. I wasn't paying too much attention. His verbal diarrhea subsides after about a minute, and I look up. All the others were badly hiding grins and stifling laughter. He half turns away and then sneers, "The 101st is better than the 82nd. E Company of the 101st Airborne Division was the main focus of the HBO TV series Band of Brothers. I give a nod as if to say, right. Kinda shocked how he had reduced the history of these units into something akin to choosing a team in a video game. He finishes his turn and waddles away. I didn't see him for the rest of that event. Sarge came over after and told me that I handled the whole thing rather well, and not to be put off by people who think they know better, etc., etc. So all in all, I guess it kinda all fizzled out in the end. However, these events seem to be a meeting ground for Neckbeard types. He wasn't the first, and I doubt he will be the last. Except he was the last. That's the last story OP wrote. I checked. But yeah, it's always fun to see a Neckbeard get a little comeuppance, you know? Let me just correct you on a normal thing. And you've attached your ego to it because you're so small in your personal life that you can't possibly stand or fathom the idea of being wrong about a fucking machine gun that nobody remembers. You've attached so much meaning, not even to the thing, just your knowledge of the thing, which is incorrect, and that shatters your worldview. It's fucking, that's crazy to me, man. I could just be like, oh, thank you for correcting me. I must have had it wrong because why ever you had it wrong. I don't know. Fucking machine guns. Not exactly the heater of a story that I would hope for, but it's definitely a good one to get us off the grounds. I'll save the gubbins for later, and we'll see what the randomizer brings us next, shall we? Our next story, simply titled Beard in Church. Which, as you know, as staunch, euphoric atheists, that's probably not the place they want to be. So hilarity ensues. Cats list. A list of all my cats, dude. That's gonna be so long. You don't want to know. Cast list is OP. Normal, 18 female, agnostic college student. Parents, slightly neurotic, 58 male and female Catholics. And Neckbeard, thusly known as Neil, because, I don't know his name. And he sorta looks like a Neil. Mid-20s, wears a Carl Sagan shirt because edge. Carl Sagan? Why does he talk like Kermit the Frog? Carl Sagan? It's just like, that's how you do the best impressions. You just say the name at the beginning and the end. And then everybody gets it. It's amazing. Do you know who that impression was? It was Carl Sagan. And the commenter who made that guess? That's right. His name was Albert Einstein. I'm in a funky mood today. So yeah. The location is a large Catholic church, everybody. So parent units, being the strict Catholics that they are, make me go to church. I don't like church, but they feed me, so I kinda owe them. Yeah, a few hours, fucking once a week, come on. Anyway, we take our spot on the pew, church bench. Yeah, just in case you're uninitiated. And we kneel down to do the premeditative prayer. As I'm staring at my nails, I hear a slightly louder, nasally voice. Mom, why do you even go here? It's not like the magical sky beast can hear you, Neil says. Please be quiet, sweetie, his older mother replied. Yes, Neil is here for the same reasons as OP, because mommy still feeds him. But I mean, can't you see that you don't get anything out of praying? It's not like the more you kneel, the more heaven points you get. You don't know that. He stares back at an elderly man behind him who's kneeling, and the old man politely ignores him. Before the mom can respond, announcements are called for what songs we'll be singing today, and what page in the choir book they'll be in. Neckbeard's fully turned around, but he's shaking his head. All's quiet for a hot minute, and I even start to forget about Neil. The priest gives us his usual spiel about kindness and love and whatnot. Next, the church recites this prayer that begins, I believe in one God, the Father and the Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. Neil clenches his fists, gives an overly cheesy chuckle to show the normies how silly their prayers are. He's gonna teach us all, you guys. Thus converting all 900 people in the church into atheists. Instead of saying, I believe in the Father Almighty, he goes, I don't believe in a God Almighty. Doing a poor parody of the original prayer that Weird Al would be completely disgusted by. Isn't Weird Al Jewish? I think it's fine. A few people are annoyed, but he is ignored the same way that you would ignore one of the children crying. Essentially, yeah. Can we send Neil off to the nursery? Probably not the best idea. I don't want to put Neil around the kids. That's gonna open up a whole... Let's not. Anyway, next, everyone goes up to get the bread, which is supposed to represent the body of Christ for the uninitiated. Neil makes a dramatic sigh and puts his mozzarella cheese-like body onto the pew, almost laying down to let people pass. Note that you are supposed to go up. Even if you can't have or don't want the bread, you could still get a blessing. Yes, the compulsory blessing. I gotta ask you honestly, Neil, can't you see that you're an embarrassment to your mother? Like, people are embarrassed on your behalf because you don't have the social awareness enough to be embarrassed for yourself. I think that's really concerning. Neil also stares at the butt of every woman that passes him. Not mine, though, because my ass is as flat as an Iowa cornfield. Oh, lucky you. Or because I was staring intently at him with a look of, I hope, conveyed pity and possibly disdain. It probably just looked like I was staring, though, and he looked away quickly and stopped laying down on the pew. Yeah, a little social pressure, that'll work. A little bit later, the priest makes the closing announcements. He encourages everyone to donate to the youth ministry in any way they can for their upcoming volunteer trip. Neil said quiet/loudly, "Typical church behavior, trying to take more money from people who need it." A few patrons shift their positions angrily. The youth ministry is a bunch of teenagers who give up a week to go to the poorest parts of the state and renovate the houses of the elderly, or build wheelchair ramps for the disabled, or clean up parks for kids to play in. This is well known, and nobody in their right mind would diss a bunch of teenagers for trying to help a community in need. I've done trips with them too. Every cent goes toward equipment, and whatever's left over is given to a local food pantry in that county. Yeah, of course, Neil doesn't know this because he's not fucking involved with any of it. Church concludes, much to the relief of everybody near Neil, especially his poor mother. Oh my god. But she's gotta take him home, back to her house. Oh my god. I do feel the worst for that woman. "This is a waste of time," Neil concludes to his mother. As they leave, a few oldsters murmur about how unruly people his age are. I may not agree with the religion, but I do believe in common respect and decency in a public place. Fuck neckbeards who think that this kind of thing is okay to do in public. Yeah, absolutely. Nailed it down, OP. You don't have to be all in on the thing, but like, why not check it out? Why not support the people you love doing the thing that they love to do? Or something like that. Neil's just there for the worst reasons, and even more than that, he's making a spectacle of it. How can he not see? How can he not see how fucking embarrassing this should be for him? But he's just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, man, I guess that's a way you could go, but probably not the best choice. Let's toss to the Gubbins and see what they think about this thing.
Oh, Neil. The only man who could make both atheists and Catholics pray for silence. He's not a rebel, he's just a wet sock that learned how to talk. Neil struts into church like he's gonna own the Christians but can't even own a belt. The only thing Neil converted that day was oxygen into disappointment. Gubbins.
Oxygen into disappointment's good. Owning a belt feels like a dad joke. I sort of like that. What do you got for me, Dark One?
Neil is not a man. He's a half-cooled thought wearing human clothes. He mistakes disrespect for individuality, mistaking noise for rebellion and smugness for intellect. He wields atheism not as a philosophy, but as a shield to hide the hollow beneath his ribs. He mocks faith because faith reminds him of something he'll never have. Conviction that isn't borrowed from YouTube debates. Dark Gubbins.
That boy ain't never had an original thought in his life. He saw a SJW owned video back in 2016. He's like, I'm gonna make that shit my whole personality forever. Okay, Neil, you're so exhausting to be around. Again, I feel terrible for his poor mother. But it is a juicy one. We're turning up the heat slowly but surely. Let's hit the randomizer one more time and see what it brings us. Our next story title, Do You Want to Go to France? Wow, randomizer. Not really. Not currently. France a few decades ago, perhaps. Cast of characters, OP, female senior uni student, decently attractive, bestie, blonde, cute BFF. Sassy, also a senior uni student. Man friend, bestie's male friend visiting from rival uni. And creeptastic, chubby pale kid, probably 24-ish, fedora wearer, scraggly scruff, creeping down his face and neck. Even a 24, man? Hasn't it developed into more than scruff? The scene is a hipster hookah lounge with bar just off campus. Bestie and I practically live there. Hell yeah, lung cancer. I'm about it. Enter myself, bestie, and man friend getting a few drinks. Casual but busy Thursday night, waiting for the hookah to be prepped. What, do you gotta fucking put hot coals on top? It's a lot of preparation. I guess they gotta stuff the stupid thing first, put tinfoil on top, and poke the little hole. It's so easy to do it yourself. Why are you paying this much for the hookah bar? You like the hookah bar that much? Just buy a fucking hookah. Whatever, I'm getting off in the weeds already. Man, friend, and bestie are into their own conversation, so I end up striking up a conversation with a rando next to me, who turns out to be creeptastic. Damn. I mean, you chose this, although you didn't know. You didn't know what you were choosing. The fedora should have tipped you off, though, probably. He turns out to be a Navy contractor or some shit, so we talk for a bit and exchange numbers, because I'm a pretty open person. And when our hookah arrives, I tell him, okay, bye. And we sit at a tiny corner table. Yeah, 3 chairs. No more, no less. He follows, pulls up a chair to this table. Oh, damn. He brought his own chair. We didn't consider that. I had fucking poor I didn't know there was other chairs available. Just drag around. Whatever. So he pulls up a chair to this table, which is not meant for 4, and he starts smoking our hookah without asking. Did nobody say anything? Yeah. Fuck, come on in, buddy. Well, okay, we're pretty friendly people, so we let him join in. No, that's reinforcing his sense of entitlement. What you gotta do is call it out then and there. Be like, hey, that weird shit that you're doing, you wanna chip in for the hookah at the very least? To see if you could get him to back down with the money. Then when he offers the money, be like, actually, we don't even want you here. No matter how much money you give me, I don't want to hang out with you. So yeah, 10 minutes of chatter later, Creeptastic says, so I asked a random girl to go to France with me. Do you think she'd go? And proceeds to stare directly at OP. OP says, no? Because I don't know you? I think it's presumptuous to assume he's talking about you. He said a random girl. This is a complete hypothetical, isn't it, OP? Isn't it? It's not. OP says, well, no, because I don't know you. Creeptastic says, what if I paid, bestie? We do have school, you know. And then we sit through a 15-minute conversation about why a random girl would not want to go to France with a stranger. Of course, Creeptastic has the complete inability to see himself as any sort of risk to anyone because he's such a nice guy, and how any girl that would accept his offer should expect him to make moves and acquiesce to said moves. So yeah, clearly, nice guy. It's such a bad look, dude. Like, just accept the no and move on. We don't have to unpack it all and turn it into this really horrible thing. But he just can't help himself. I think he's just excited to be included in something. OP says, look, thanks for thinking of me, but I'm not interested. Are you random girl? Did he point at you when he said random girl? I'm a little confused about how you inferred all that. But I guess she's correct because Creeptastic responds, but why? I'm so nice. Why do girls not like me? What should I do differently? Well, fucking develop your personality and stop with the simping. It's pretty simple if you really want me to lay it down. Bestie says, honestly, the best thing you could do right now is just leave. Man interjects and basically verbally strong-arms him away, and Creeptastic slinks off. Cool. Well, good. Yeah, shout out man friend, I guess, since he couldn't accept a no from the lady. Why is that? That's the weirdest thing in the world. Is it because you know I'm liable to punch you? Like, are you just scared of getting punched? It's not that bad. Like, yeah, it sucks in the moment, but I don't know. Give it a minute and you'll be fine. Anyway, we enjoy about 2 hours of hookah and getting a buzz worked up, decide that the hookah's cashed, and head out to pub down the road to keep drunk going on. Yeah, that's some college student shit, isn't it? 20 minutes and a pint or two later, I'm going to use the bathroom. It's not very crowded, and it's dark, so I almost miss him, but Creeptastic is sitting there with some empty beer glasses. Dude, what the fuck? Like, he's not in the bathroom, right? Because that part's confusing. He's in the bar and you saw him on your way to the bathroom? I infer that. He is just staring dead at me. He followed us. It wasn't busy, so we would have seen him when he came in. Yeah, except for the fact that you fucking didn't. I suddenly forget my bathroom need and point him out. Cue 10-minute staring contest between Creeptastic and Man Friend. What the fuck is that? Just go over and say something. Hey, what the fuck are you doing here, buddy? Thought I told you to get lost. You know? Then maybe somebody gets punched. Oh well. Minute later, you'll feel fine. OP says, thank God, finally. Creeptastic throws some money down, pulls that dumb fedora down over his frickin' face, and leaves, mumbling under his breath to himself. I did get a text message later that night, to which I let Bestie go at it. I was drunk. TLDR, get asked to France by a bar neckbeard, decline. He complains about girls never liking the nice guy and follows us when we bar hop. Edit, Immigrant link fix. Oh yeah, we want to see those text screep caps, as OP calls them. There's 4 of them, links exposed, so we know that they're safe. We'll go take a look. So this guy's saved in her phone as 3 French flags and like an arms crossed emoji, which is hilarious to me. He asks, do you care that best friend hates me? If not, would you like to join me for a drink afterwards? And she says, I would rather lick an AIDS-infested penis. Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't think... Can you catch it through the mouth stuff? Maybe if you got an open sore in your mouth. You gotta be careful. I got bleeding gums all the fucking time. Can't be playing with that. Oh my god, that's funny. He says, is that you talking or Bestie? I suppose it makes no difference. She says, she's not taking your drink. That is all. Yeah, nor anything else that you have to offer, just to be very clear. He says, can we make peace? I see no reason for this kind of hostility. No, I don't think we can. I've told you off quite firmly and you didn't listen. That's hostile to me. OP says, no, make new friends. Creep says, never said to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. What does that even mean? They're like a European thing I don't understand. I'm a dumb American. You gotta bring it down a couple levels for me. OP says, bite me, you little prick. I love the savagery in the text messages. Really, I think I like text messages more than the stories themselves these days. He says, some lies make you larger. Some lies make you small. The lies you tell yourself are the most potent of them all. Oh, dude, you gotta listen now. He rhymes like a fucking leprechaun or something. You don't know what he's capable of if he's got those rhyming powers. And OP says, yes, and the lie I'm telling right now is go away. Nobody wants it or needs it. Yeah, we were all better off long before you came along, okay? No offense meant, at least not the first time, but then you clearly can't see a line in the sand. So I'll have to, you know, make it a little more clear. Maybe with landmines, I don't know. Is there a difference between what you think and what Bestie thinks? No need to reply. But beware, or people who would presume to speak for you. She says, sorry, still no. He doesn't even know who he's talking to. Like, at what point did you think you made a good impression on this girl, that she was actually into you? You were clearly brushed off by the entire group. On some level, I admire your inexplicable ability to not read the room and walk up to a group of 3 people who don't want you there and start smoking their hookah. But on the other hand, like, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? Take a look around, okay? You're desperate, you offer nothing, aside from like a vague trip to France, which is never gonna happen. And if it does, well then he put himself into a load of debt for it, because he's clearly not like worth anything or established as a human being. So now you're just a simping loser with a load of debt, and still she didn't want to do anything with you. Like, as soon as the questions came out about like, yeah, I'll take the trip to France, but would I have to do anything for it? And he's like, well, yeah, of course you would. We knew this was like dead in the water. Delete the number. Like, even if you got the number early on, just it's no good to you now. This is fucking Stonewall Jackson, and you did it to yourself. You did it to your fucking self! I can't save you. I can't help with this. What a wild ride. Gubbinses, what's your take on all this?
Simplord wants to whisk woman away to France in an effort to try and distract her from the fact that it's very clear he's hollow inside. There's nobody in there that's worth getting to know, and that goes doubly in France. It's the city of love. She'll probably meet a nice French Somali to whisk her off her feet, and be happier than ever. Gubbins.
French Somali? Is that... Okay, fine. Dark one, go.
Women are attracted to men who carry an air of confidence, immediately throwing everything you've ever earned at her feet in an attempt to eventually one day sniff her socks doesn't exactly exude the sort of confidence we're looking for. We appreciate your interest, but we've decided to go with other options. Basically, any other option. Even forever alone. Dark Gubbins.
Nice. Clinical. I thought we were going a weird Dan Schneider direction with the sniffer socks thing, but I'm glad we ended it clinical. That's clean. Demand intimacy, get rejected, call the girl some pejorative or mix of pejoratives. Perfect. Works every time.
I've never understood the female capacity to avoid a direct answer to any question.
The tragedy of Trollbeard. Rubbed the wrong way. Oh, who hasn't had that happen from time to time, you know? Hello, everyone. Hello, user Honky Kong. I like that name a lot, actually. This is my first ever Reddit post, so apologies if my formatting sucks. I've been reading all these wonderful tales of neckbeards and would love to regale you all with a tale of my own. I might post more if it's well received, and he did. I'll try my best to remember all the details. This is a tragedy from my high school days of yore. First, introductions of the characters. OP, senior in high school, moderately popular, captain of the drum line and played snare. Band kid. But you know the drum kids are like the cool band kids.
Our finest gifts we bring for pum.
Oh, what's that? Pretty cringy, you say? Au contraire. That will be explained later. Yeah, band kid trying to explain why he's not cringy. At a certain point, just learn to lean in, pal. Jay is one of my best friends, witness of all the neckbeardery to come, also in band, played the sax. There was also Stankbeard, overweight accomplice to Trollbeard. As the name suggests, really smelly. That's just my frobobs. Superiority complex. Extremely obnoxious and loud. Trollbeard. Oh, Trollbeard. Where do I start? Well, for starters, he didn't actually have a beard. Only thin wisps of single hairs that graced his chin. I called him Trollbeard because he's short and looks like a troll. Or a goblin? A goblin troll? I don't know. What kind of fucking nerd are you? You don't know the difference between goblins and trolls. Get out of here! Study up! It's a matter of respect! So, as I stated above, I was in band. Now, most band kids get a bad rap for being nerdy. Yup. And even neckbeardly. Yup. But it wasn't the case in my Northwest Florida school. Honestly, Florida dudes, some of the most chill dudes I've ever met. Also kind of know how to get wild and rowdy and shit, but I like that. It was actually considered cool to be in our band. Yeah, I'm gonna press X to doubt on all that, but, you know, we tell ourselves things to get through the day. It's fine. As long as you enjoyed it, that's what really matters. You don't have to tell me stories about this super cool secret school with a made-up band that's awesome and everybody likes them. I hail from a moderately mid-sized town that is heavy in the music scene, so musicians are not in short supply. Honestly, that's sort of cool. Can you bring me some of the saxophone and clarinet kids? I'm looking for the next Kenny G. But this isn't a tale of my band hijinks. Oh, come on, OP, we were having so much fun. This is a tragedy about a poor soul who was so cringeworthy that it would make your anus implode! Not again. Trollbeard was short, and he had goblin-esque features. Although he didn't sport the famous facial follicles that neckbeards are known for, he did wear fedoras and a long black trench coat, even in summer. Now, dear readers, as I mentioned, I live in Florida, and it gets hotter than Satan's dung hole out here, but I digress. Yeah, he wears that fucking thing every day, just sweating into it? Oh, God. Trollbeard was an odd one. You see, back then, I didn't know what a neckbeard was. We just called them the vampire kids, because they legit thought that they were vampires.
Well, if he's a vampire, I guess we should drive a stake through his heart.
No! No, I'm not a vampire!
This is not the only neckbeard vampire story. This is uncanny. All this happened back when Twilight first came out. He was quite famous around campus for his strange antics. He spoke in ye old English, and yes, my friends, he would call females "m'lady," which I guess is slightly better than calling them females. He was the de facto leader of the Neckbeard clan. He strode around campus with his black trench coat trailing behind him like some sort of discount Darth Vader. He legitimately thought that he was so cool. So what's really happening here is that you're looking into a mirror and you see somebody who's completely satisfied with himself and his situation, and it just burns you up inside. Because you wish that, even though you're a cool, popular band kid, you just wish that you could feel as cool as that guy feels, even for just one single day. But that's enough armchair psychology for this paragraph. So one day, Jay and I had math class together. Now, for the record, dear readers, I was a slacker in high school. Yeah, me too. I was only concerned about playing drums and dating girls, and math was not my favorite subject. Stankbeard and Trollbeard sat behind Jay and I in the back of class, and I would often hear their conversations of adult animes, lol, and meme base perusing. Other times they would talk about relations. What relations? Don't do this to me. Hold on to your freaking seats, dick shits. It's about to get weird. I like that. So one day, our teacher was teaching us about the joys of how to foil and other confusing things that make this albino gorilla's head hurt. Kong, no like maths. Jay and I instead passed the time by talking about an upcoming band trip that we were about to take to a university competition when suddenly a shrill shriek shook the room. A girl who sat next to Trollbeard screamed, "Ew! Are you fucking kidding me, dude?" Dear readers, I would not lie to you about this. It is 100% true. Apparently, Trollbeard had grown bored of math and instead had decided to jerk it beneath his outdated attire. Not conspicuous enough, however, to not get caught, and so there he was, dong in hand, fapping it up in algebra.
Sex is corny. Algebra makes me horny.
Some urges, just can't wait, I suppose. Everybody understands the urge, you know, but why can't you just rub it through your pants like any decent person? The joke being that a decent person wouldn't do that in a math class. A hush fell over the class. His face grew a lovely shade of bright red. Dear readers, you would all probably sympathize for Trollbeard, but please do not. Why in the sake of fuck would I sympathize with Trollbeard? You've not written him as a sympathetic character. If anybody in this room is feeling sympathy for unabashed perverts, please check yourself. Alright, thanks. Trollbeard was generally despised by all, and for good reason. He was misogynistic and viewed women as nothing more than playthings. Yeah, except he never gets to play. He would openly mock anyone who had religious beliefs. He had a very condescending tone whenever he spoke, and had the biggest superiority complex ever. He was a generally disgusting human being. Yes, weep not for Trollbeard. I wish I hadn't turned around to see Trollbeard's tiny shrinky dink in his hand. I wanted to bleach my eyes out after that.
First we put the bleach on our eyes, and that's it. We will no longer have that cringe beam in our head and eyes.
Our teacher had to call the SRO, which is like the school police officer, to escort Trollbeard out of the class for his inappropriate peep show. I'm not too sure what happened after that, but Trollbeard resurfaced about a week later as if nothing ever happened. None of us ever forgot what we saw that fateful day, though, and we never will. Yeah, some memories don't leave you. That is true. Oh, good. Something to haunt me forever. Wonderful. Yes! Is it gonna haunt you too, boy?
Trollbeard yanked Shane Noodle in Math Cave like it summoned spell slot, but all he cast was trauma. Even algebra cried that day. Gubbins.
Yeah, 4th level trauma. It's got like a 30-foot radius or some shit. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, what a wild story to start out with, but we'll keep it rolling. I kind of like this user's style, so I'm going to dig into some more of his stuff. It's probably why I bookmarked it in the first place, you know. And here we have the story of D, a tale of what the fuckery. Hello again, Reddit lurkers. 'Tis I, your favorite pale primate, back with another rousing tale of neck-bearded antics. You know, as the great white ape of the Philippines, a zoological cryptid myself, I feel sort of a connection with Mr. Honky Kong, you know? Anyway, as a side note, OP says, I usually hate writing. I'm in college right now, and the irony of it all is, even though I hate writing, I'm apparently good at it. All my professors love my papers, and I actually enjoy writing on here, I guess because I have more artistic freedom. I don't know. Enough about me. Time for bearded neck debacles. Yeah, we were sort of getting off into the weeds again there, huh? Did the professors also high-five you for being a super cool popular band kid? Anyway, this is a story about a man I shall call D. This may get lengthy, but I want to share all the details about his ill-fated adventures as best as possible, and I hope that it is worth the read. I see that there are 2 of these. We're going to get through both of them. Rumor has it that there's a 3rd floating out there somewhere, but I wasn't able to find it. Anyway, let me explain D as best I can. None of you will ever truly appreciate the spectacle that he was, but I shall try my best to paint a vivid picture. D, like Trollbeard, did not have a beard, but as we learned in our last story, it's not the beard on your neck, but the beard inside you that matters. Yeah, beard on the inside that counts. Pick up the t-shirt over on 4th Wall. Thanks so much. Also, check me out on Spotify and iTunes. Thanks so much again. Perfect plug. A+, OP. D was a person of the darker complexion. What, he black?
Yeah, spoiler alert. You're black.
What? No! Pretty fit too, actually. No offensive or outdated vestments of any sort. Certainly no fedora. It wasn't really about how he looked, but more about how he acted. What, did he call clothing vestments? Oh, look at those outdated vestments. How odd. That looks quite queer, doesn't it? You see, D would do weird shit. Like, he would walk extremely fast. Like, he probably walks faster than I could jog. And he wouldn't swing his arms when he walked, so it looked as though he was just gliding everywhere he went. Dude, that's like a superpower. That's awesome. You're pointing this out as a negative? I want to fucking glide along the ground. And then OP prompts us all to do so. I want you all to go ahead and try to walk as fast as humanly possible without swinging your arms. Go ahead. I'll wait. Fuck you, I'm not gonna do that. Doesn't matter what it feels like. What matters is the end result where I look like I'm on a hoverboard going faster than everybody all the time. That's been my whole goal in life. If I can learn to do this, then I'll fucking quit everything else. And OP says, see? Feels weird, doesn't it? Fuck you, I didn't do it. Think you'd come out here and tell me how to live? Who the hell are you? It wasn't just his walk, however. He was so socially inept that it hurt. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It was horrible to behold, but you just couldn't look away. D would do his walk run up to girls, awkwardly ask them if he could touch their boobs, and when they understandably refused him, he'd call them a whore and walk run away. I could tell you a few reasons that's not effective. Does he have some special needs of some sort? Perhaps undiagnosed? Just maybe? He would post annoying statuses on Facebook every single hour. And yet you didn't unfriend him? That seems weird. Seems a little sus. Just so you can feel better than somebody. That's what you're doing here, isn't it? I understand it. It's what I do here every day, but at least I'm open and honest about it, you know? You're trying to play both sides. If you want to be an asshole, just lean in. It's so easy. The statuses were just typical vague shit. Sometimes like, today sucks. Or Friday. He also posts these really cringy motivational videos that last well beyond an hour and just talk about nothing at all. Like he's doing his own motivational videos on Facebook. I mean, if he does it enough, eventually he'll probably get good at it. But yeah, most people aren't good on camera or mic the first time they sit down in front of one. It's just how it is. It's a learned skill. D would say mostly just Dr. Phil type stuff, like, if you want to change your life, then you have to make changes in your life. Nobody watched his videos. Except those who laughed at him, but he still posted them nonetheless, like he had a really big following, and still, no one cared. I mean, you're sitting here writing about it. Somebody cared, clearly. How often do you think D thinks about OP? Probably never. Doesn't even know he exists, and OP's just sitting over there seething. Why does he have the confidence to make videos and post them? Because like I said, all you have to do is stop caring. Shove it out there. Don't give a shit. It's the easiest thing in the world. He would also post typical nice guy TM posts like, I can't stand when women complain about not having a good man. Some women wonder where all the good men are. Well, you friend-zoned them all. Or, the most attractive thing to me about a woman is a woman who knows her place in the kitchen, cooking me meals and cleaning up after me. Oh yes, charming. I noticed you didn't include those in the motivational videos. Maybe that's part of why they failed, because it's fake as shit. And even though it is fake as shit, OP's still jealous, which I guess speaks even more volumes about OP. My goodness, we could sit here and tear this apart all day, couldn't we? Anyway, OP says yes, those are real posts, and there are so many more just like them. D wasn't in band, and he wasn't exactly popular because of very obvious reasons. He was like a hawk when it came to girls, though, and he would try to prey on the poor color guard freshmen. I was dating a really cute girl at the time, let's call her Z, and Z was also in band. She would be a victim of everyone's friendly neighborhood neckbeard. One day me and Z were in the band room, just talking. We had practice later that day, so it was after school, and we were just waiting for practice to start. I get up and go to the bathroom to take a French yes, oui, and I come back, and lo and behold, I see a sight that fills me with rage. It was D talking to Z. If you're not careful, they're gonna do a fusion dance and turn into a DZ Discovery Zone.
I'm going DZ at Discovery Zone, where I can cut loose and be on my own.
I knew his game. I knew exactly what he was doing, so I snuck over there behind him so I could listen to what he had to say. Hey Z, do you want to go out with me? Z. No, D, you know I'm with OP. D.
So, I know I could treat you better than him. He's just a jerk. And I know he doesn't treat you good, 'cause he's not like me.
Z. I'm really happy with him, actually, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't knock my boyfriend like that. Wait for it, readers. Here it comes. D.
Z, you deserve so much more. I'd treat you so right, and I'd smash that cloud pocket up so good every single night. You can put it in your mouth while I watch One Piece, and then you can make me breakfast.
I had enough. Couldn't let this shit go on any longer. OP. Is there a fucking problem here? D. D takes one look at me and runs away. Z gives me a look of relief mixed with frustration. She couldn't believe that someone could be so foul and neckbeardy. Yeah, just really shameless. Open about his expectations in a relationship, but I don't think anybody's gonna give you that. What the fuck? These events took place during my sophomore year of high school. Fast forward a bit to my senior year. Z and I split amicably, but it was emotional for both of us. However, the night she set her Facebook status to single, who comments on it? You guessed, reader, D! Oh, and what did he have to say?
Hey, now that you're single, you want to go out with me?
How can anyone be so inept? Fast forward to present time, D joined the Navy, but he got caught trying to date a 12-year-old. What the fuck?
Unforgivable.
He's 26. I'm not sure if he was dishonorably discharged for that, but I'm sure that's grounds for it. Yeah, dude, captain's mad. You're doing a decade or so in the brig, okay? Fucking chomos, man. He was quote-unquote in love. Not sure what happened after that, to be honest. Hope he got shivved. He would still post his shitty motivational videos in the barracks in the Navy, and still, no one cared. He never grew out of his neck-bearded weirdness. Don't be like D, kids. Yes, and apparently don't date him either, because he's out here asking 12-year-olds out. What the fuck?
End up Navy disgrace and anime predator. Whole life one long cringe sprint. Gubbins.
Yeah, he's definitely running toward disaster, if it hasn't met him already, which apparently it has. There are some life-changing ramifications. You might end up on a registry of some sort, and good. You deserve it. But it's not the last story that we have of D, no, so join me over there and we'll get this thing wrapped for real. The story of D, the fuckery, continues. It never seems to stop around here, I tell you that. Well, howdy do, all you beautiful people. It's your boy, back with more riveting tales for all your reading delights. Oh good, it's my boy. My best friend Dave read the story that I told you all about D, and he had one story of his own to share, so this is a story that my best friend witnessed. I was fortunate enough to be spared this awful moment, and he has given me permission to tell it all. So, in the previous story, I did mention how crude and lewd D happened to be. He was also sort of borderline crazy, as when he would get mocked for his peculiar behavior, he would then talk to himself. D,
just ignore them, D. They're not worth it. They're all gonna burn.
This is my best friend's story from his perspective. Dave and D were walking around the high school campus one day when D spots a fair milady in need of some wooing. Dave spots her. D spots her. Dave is discreet with his looking, but D is not. D begins shouting,
Dude, look! Dude, oh my god! She's so hot! Look, dude!
Pointing at the girl. Cool, subtle. Now, old girl sees and hears this because, they're only a few feet away from her. He triumphantly proclaims,
I'm gonna go talk to her.
Dave says, Wait, D! No! But it was too late. No one could stop what was to come, for D walked faster than any neckbeard before him. arms stiff at his side as if carrying 2 really heavy briefcases. He pounced on his prey like a rabid lion. D,
Hey, do you want to go out with me?
not a hi, how you doing? None of that, just straight to the point. Girl, no. No thank you. D,
Well, why not?
girl, I have a boyfriend. We all know that this is code for leave me the fuck alone, or maybe she actually did have one. Who knows? But not D, for he was persistent.
Do you want to do it with me?
Girl, what the fuck? No! D,
Well, why not?
D thought that by continuously asking his helpless victim to death with his neckbeard interrogation, that she would eventually relent and go out with him. Well, this girl was not having it, and D did not take rejection well. He tried to sway her with his braggadocious claims of
slamming that hot tuna wrinkle.
No avail. What seemed like an eternity of pestering. Finally, he got the hint. D,
well, you're just a freaking whore then.
Yes, his logic was sound. Demand intimacy, get rejected, call the girl some pejorative or mix of pejoratives. Perfect. Works every time.
I've never understood the female capacity to avoid a direct answer to any question.
Dave could not believe the spectacle that had just occurred. He was embarrassed, for he knew that our poor damsel was in neckbeard distress.
Yeah, you don't get to save the damsel, I do.
All of you guys are fucking weird, I want you to know. Sort of I vibe with it, a little bit I fuck with it, but I don't know. There's also OP being braggadocious while calling other people braggadocious, and I'm like, it drives me nuts, probably because, I'm a braggadocious person. It's like looking into a mirror. Just like I therapized OP earlier, I'm throwing that same thing back in my face. I guess because I'm not braggadocious all the time is the difference, there's a difference between knowing your worth and, inflating yourself beyond your own power level. Whatever. So yes, Dave was trying to put the moves on girl, and she, of course, saw that Dave was affiliated with D and completely disowned him. D had ruined Dave's chances. No, Dave's an idiot for hanging out with D. You all despise this person, and yet you keep him around? You're stupid. Sit him down, have a hard conversation, see if he sorts himself out, but tiptoeing around it and laughing behind his back is fucking dumb. I hope you get to realize that at some point. Anyway, after successfully blocking my best friend's dong with his neckbeardery, D returned to Dave on the verge of angry tears. He was going to cry about it. Dave tried to explain to him that maybe he should rethink his tactics, but these words fell on deaf ear and bearded neck. D made a 30-minute Facebook video about it that night, blaming the friend zone. That's all I have. Hope you enjoyed this story. Ah, yes. Unrepentant weirdos doing unrepentant weirdo things. He can't for the life of him figure out why that failed. He's like, that girl talked to me for almost 90 seconds. I'm almost beating my personal record. That must mean I'm doing better. But as I've said before, neckbeards are a determined species, if nothing else.
Ask for sex like at vending machine. Get mad when no snack come out. No, fool. You block own path with stink and stupidity. Gubbins.
I don't know if he'll ever hear that message. It is the message he needs to hear, but I don't know if he's truly capable of absorbing it, I guess the easiest thing to do is just to blame the friend zone. You got friend zoned by a complete stranger that you never met before, so I guess you're moving up, maybe. I need to stop encouraging D. I need D to lay down in a hole. I'd appreciate it. As for you, friends, you don't need to lay down in a hole, but you could subscribe to my Patreon or YouTube memberships if you wanted. We plugged everything else already, so all I want to tell you is you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for calling ReddX Industries. Your call is very important to us. Please hold on the line while we decontaminate the lab.